As faculty, we're the ones who are typically on the front lines with our students. Sometimes we see the evidence of a barrier before a student becomes aware himself. Moreover, students are very likely to disclose their functional limitations, medical issues, or other challenges to faculty before ever contacting Alpha. With this reality in mind, here are a few things to consider as you interact with students who may be disclosing disabilities. First, be sure that your syllabus has the required syllabus statement regarding Alpha. All university syllabi must have the disability statement. It's specifically worded to A, ensure that we meet some of the guidelines of the Department of Education and the Department of Justice, but B, it's also designed to help direct students who may be apprehensive about disclosures. Second, if a student tells you that she has a disability, don't shy away from the conversation. Rather, engage, listen, understand. Many who do not identify as being disabled are afraid that they will say something wrong, but the disclosure process is sometimes a place of real vulnerability for the student. If you're worried about what to say, ask questions. Asking questions is the safest way to engage in these discussions. They help us avoid making value statements or saying something foolish in an attempt to be wise. Tell me more about this. What has this been like for you? How do you engage that barrier? These kinds of questions can go a very long way to creating a welcoming space. Third, refer the student to Alpha. You can send an email to alpha@acu.edu or call Alpha at 325-674-2667. Alpha will invite the student into the iterative process. Sometimes students follow through, and many times they don't. But Alpha will work very hard to create a conversation with the student to engage the disclosure process. Fourth, avoid making accommodations that are not required by Alpha. This seems counterintuitive. Shouldn't you be helping as much as possible? One common way this goes wrong is when a faculty member decides that he will accommodate a student with disabilities by extending deadlines on the assignments. When the student enters a subsequent course, she may expect that this accommodation will be offered by other faculty as well. Alpha strongly recommends that you not only ensure that the approved accommodations are provided, but that you also avoid offering accommodations that you do not offer to non-disabled students. You can always ask for an accommodation sheet. The student who has accommodations approved by Alpha will have a sheet that looks like this. And be sure to look at the Other box to see if there are any accommodations that were approved beyond the most common ones. In the 11 years that I worked as the ADA compliance officer at ACU, I never once met a faculty member who wasn't eager and willing to help students with disabilities gain access to an education. Alpha has a deep and abiding belief in the good faith of faculty, and that belief has been supported without exception since 1987. I tell you this because I want to invite you to engage with Alpha. Whether as you're contemplating course design or revising content to mitigate specific barriers or interacting with a student whom you think might have a disability, or if you need help understanding how to better interact with a student who experiences barriers. Alpha is always willing to be the first stop in figuring out how to best help a student. Your collaboration and interaction with those good people is how we as an institution ensure that we provide access to students who encounter barriers, which at the end of the day is in the best interest of the institution and your academic program.